Was Coriolanus Snow always destined to be a villain, or did Panem make him one? Snow is one of the most complex characters in the Hunger Games universe. As a reader, you get caught in this strange cycle. One moment you actually feel sorry for him, and the next, his thoughts twist, and you remember exactly who he becomes. It's confusing, but that's what makes him fascinating. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we are diving deep into Coriolanus Snow and exploring how the people in his life shaped his descent into tyranny. Honestly, this book had me questioning myself every few chapters. I'll go from, oh poor Coriolanus, to oh no, he's terrifying. That emotional whiplash, that's exactly what Susan Collins wanted. Most of Snow's childhood was shaped by war, and war changes people. The once great Snow family lost everything, their wealth, their home, their reputation, all gone because of the rebellion. That loss planted the first seed of resentment in Coriolanus towards the district. Their penthouse in the capital was crumbling, barely livable. They could hardly afford food, let alone status. He grew up surrounded by luxury he couldn't actually touch, and that's where it all begins. Snow's father Crassus died in the war. His mother died during childbirth. Mrs. Snow was known for her kindness, one of the few capital women who welcomed the Plinths. Even though they came from the district, every time Coriolanus remembers her is through her warmth, scent, or tenderness. But because she died when he was young, that connection to kindness is fragile, almost hollow. It's one of the reasons his empathy feels fleeting. Being the only man left in the family made him self-centered. Ambition became his way of surviving. Tigris, his cousin, only 3 years older, acted like a mother figure. She encouraged kindness, reminded him to think of others. But when he moved to District 12, he drifted away from her. And when that bond faded, so did his empathy. Then there is Grandma'am, the complete opposite. She represents pride, tradition and superiority, the very core of capital ideology. She never offers loyalty, just loyalty to image. Even when Lucy Gray saves Coriolanus, Grandma'am refuses to acknowledge her worth, reminding him again and again that they are capital and Lucy Gray is district. Because of her, Snow becomes obsessed with maintaining the illusion of power, pretending to belong, pretending not to starve. His entire identity becomes a performance. The charm, the intellect, the composure, all of it a mask of survival. Dean Casca Highbottom is one of the most quietly tragic figures in the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. He's remembered as the creator of the Hunger Games, even though it was never meant to be real. As students, he and Crassus Snow drunkenly imagined a punishment for the districts, forcing their children to fight to the death. It was hypothetical until Crassus submitted it with both their names. When the capital made it real, Highbottom was consumed by guilt. He blamed Crassus for turning his careless words into horror. After Crassus' death, that hatred transferred to his son. By the time Coriolanus enters the academy, Highbottom is bitter, exhausted, and numbed by muffling. He treats Snow with quiet contempt. Never cruel, just cold. Highbottom assigns Snow the least promising tribute, Lucy Gray Baird, and punishes him for every act of initiative. When Snow is caught cheating, Highbottom says, "Do you hear that, Coriolanus? It's the sound of snow falling." Highbottom even insults Snow's mother, calling her vapid, a wound Snow never allows to heal. Later, Coriolanus poisons Highbottom's muffling supply. Quiet, efficient, deliberate. Highbottom dies, never realizing that by punishing the son for the sins of the father, he helped create the man who would one day rule Panem. Dr. Volumnia Gaul is the most powerful influence on Coriolanus Snow's transformation. She isn't just a teacher. She's an architect of ideology. Her lessons are designed to destroy empathy and sharpen obedience. From the start, she sees potential in him, ambition wrapped in charm, a hunger for other that mirrors her own. When he escorts Lucy Gray to the zoo, she praises him, not for kindness, but for strategy. She sees someone who can manipulate emotion for gain. Her lessons are psychological warfare. When Sejanus jumps into the arena, Gaul doesn't send a peacekeeper, she sends Coriolanus. A twisted experiment to test his morality under pressure. If he refuses, his entire future collapses. So he goes. He kills to survive, and Gaul is delighted. To her, this proves that violence is human nature. Sending him to District 12 isn't punishment, it's another test, a study in how love and ambition collide. By the time he returns, she calls him my victor. Her goal was to mold him into the perfect capital weapon, logical, ruthless, obsessed with control, and she succeeds. Sejanus is empathetic but reckless. He acts on emotion without considering consequences, and every impulsive choice drags Coriolanus deeper into danger. When Sejanus leaps into the arena, Snow is ordered to follow. His first true test is chaos and blood. Later in District 12, Sejanus secretly helps rebels. Coriolanus watches in terror, knowing being implicated could destroy him. When Sejanus confides his plans, unaware the Jabberjays are recording, Snow reports him. He tells himself it's to protect them both, but deep down it's about survival. Because of Sejanus' choices, Coriolanus ends up killing 4 people, including Sejanus himself. When Sejanus is executed, Snow numbs his guilt with rationalization. He convinces himself that compassion is a fatal flaw. Sejanus meant well. He wanted to make a difference, but his idealism and Snow's fear ultimately shaped Snow's transformation. Gray Baird is Coriolanus Snow's last debtor to humanity, and the one who ultimately severs it. She's everything he isn't. Spontaneous, emotional, free. But she's also a survivor, and survival shapes everything she does. Her life is a performance, not out of deceit, but out of necessity. Every smile, every story, every gesture is crafted to keep her alive. When Coriolanus offers her a rose, she says her mother used to bathe her in rose and milk. But whether that memory is real or part of her charm is hard to tell. Lucy Gray uses stories the way she uses songs, shaping them to fit the moment, adapting to whoever is watching. She isn't manipulative for power, she's manipulative because the world has forced her to be. Did she care for Coriolanus? Yes, but for someone as wounded and intelligent as Lucy Gray, falling deeply in love with a capital boy in days feels unlikely. Their relationship isn't pure love, it's 2 people trying to survive each other's words. Coriolanus helps her survive the games by bending rules and manipulating outcome, but she wins. He feels pride, not in her victory, but in his control over it. In District 12, their reunion feels like a second chance. He imagines a life with her, simple, safe, far from the capital. But ambition never dies. Loving Lucy Gray would mean letting go of control, and Coriolanus Snow cannot live without control or the capital. When she discovers he betrayed Sejanus, mistrust blooms, and for Lucy Gray, trust matters more than love. She doesn't leave because she stopped loving him. She leaves because she no longer feels safe. To Snow, her escape feels like betrayal. To Lucy Gray, is survival. She disappears into the woods, leaving behind only her scarf and a snake, beauty and danger intertwined. He calls her name with a weapon in hand. She never answers. Whether she dies or escapes, callings never tell us. What matters is what she takes with her, the last piece of him capable of love. He didn't love her out of compassion. He loved her out of need, obsession and control. And when she's gone, it isn't heartbreak that shapes him. It's the wounded ego. That forest becomes the line between who he was and who he will become. So was Coriolanus Snow always a villain? No. But he was never innocent. He was shaped piece by piece by a world that rewarded cruelty and punished compassion. Dean Highbottom gave him bitterness. Dr. Gaul gave him ideology. Sejanus tested his conscience. Lucy Gray shattered his ego. They all pushed him towards the man he would become. But they didn't create him. He still chose his path. He could have chosen differently, but every time he had a choice, he chose ambition over compassion, and that's what makes him terrifying. Not that Panem made him cruel, but that he decided cruelty worked. Snow wasn't born evil, he was given reasons and he turned them into excuses. Panem shaped him, but in the end, he built himself. And if you have made it this far, thank you for watching, and may the odds be ever in your favor. Your thoughts are welcomed in the comments.